Welcome back. The concept of smart villages was introduced by the Commission in, I think it was 2016, and you must correct me if I'm wrong. But there has, of course, been smart villages around Europe for a long time, and quite often in connection with LEADER. Our first speakers now in this block are Mrs. Linn Malmgren and Mr. Tim Landgren. Malmgren, it's late in the afternoon, sorry. And they are part of a smart family, actually, living in the smart village of Veberöd in Sweden. Welcome.
Thank you. So let's start this presentation. This is me and my sister. So we will represent smart villages in south of Sweden in Veberöd. And we will actually have some questions later on that you can ask us. So we have a mentee, as usual. You know this by now. So we have the password, 13462705. Everyone take a picture, write it down. Perfect. So, smart villages or smarta byar. This is Veberöd's research village for a smart and sustainable society. And Veberöd is not a huge village. We're talking about 5,000 inhabitant citizens with around 1,200 households. And will increase actually to 1,200 new households by 2040. So we are in those dilemma on how we can expand without copy-paste a city. How we will do that. So this is just a small picture of Veberöd. And I started this platform back in 2008. And I was this tall, around. I was 11 years old. So I started this communication platform for democratization processes together with the citizens of the village. And we have different types of websites and communication platforms, apps, etc., and how we can communicate with the citizens. And this still works. This is still up to date from back in 2008. This is a fundamental process and platform for smart villages that we'll talk later on. And this is supported with over 200 companies and associations locally in Veberöd. This 5,000 inhabitants, 200 companies and associations support us. So, smart villages. You know, smart coffee machines and refrigerators and so on. We implemented that in our village. So we take standard IoT sensors. We have an antenna, central in the village. So we can connect sensors so we can measure things. And then we can go and connect that to a phone or a PC.
One of our first proof of concepts is this project. With the help of sensors, we were able to measure the water levels in a water bin for cows. And it would let the farmer know when it was empty and needed refilling. And so this is a picture from midsummer, which is a Swedish holiday, during the summer, a hot season. And the alarm went off for the first time, and the farmer came out to find this. And during the following 9 weeks, 25 alarms went off. And the farmer could, through her phone, track the water levels for her cows, and in the long run, it saved several cows from dehydration. This is another way to measure water levels. This is Björkhaga, a local company cultivating trees. And by attaching sensors to the soil, they could measure the water levels. And despite being in the business for several generations, none of them had any clue of the drinking patterns of the tree. So this saved them both water and time when they didn't need to check on the trees regularly, but could follow the sensors. Could you possibly deliver medication via drones? We believe this could be an alternative transportation method and could be very helpful for those who have difficulties, for example, getting to a pharmacy themselves. This is another project where we attached a sensor to several bikes for the owners to be able to track their bikes if and when they got stolen. And so unfortunately, or fortunately for this project, our bike actually got stolen. But through our app, we could track this bike and found it abandoned on the road just like this. Under the Smart Villages project, we have started a Young Smart Villages non-profit association. And it's an association run by youth, for youth, working to achieve a smart and sustainable rural area. And one of the first projects we conducted was this water quality measuring project. This is a picture of Veberöd, and what you see on the picture is a local stream. We call it Veberödsbäcken. And what we did was compare the ingoing water with the outgoing water. We saw an increase in zinc and phosphorus. And we like to do this comparison of, are we leaving the world a better place or not? And we concluded that in Veberöd we are unfortunately a minus village. And although we aren't terrible, we do pollute. And yeah, this has since evolved into another project where we have put this rock. It's actually a sensor, and it measures certain aspects of water quality live. This is a irrigation system which is wireless and is able to water plants from beneath. This is another thing we have done, and we have decided to include students from a Swedish university to try technological solutions in the village, such as measuring the movements of a swing, how much are we swinging, when are we swinging, and we believe this is useful in the future city planning. We've also tried augmented reality as a way of conducting business. This is several doctors trying augmented reality to see if they can work remotely. And we've also tried this with local fire department, where they wear these augmented reality glasses, and we are simulating pressing situations where they can interact. This is another project. It's smart lampposts. These lampposts register movements. When they register movement, they will light up, and when they cannot detect any movement, they will dimmer instead. By doing this, we can lower electricity costs. This is another project where we measure the traffic flow on a certain street in Veberöd. This is another example of how we can use technology to improve future city planning or rural development by seeing which roads are we using, how many cars are we talking about, how many pedestrians, what do we need to do for future Veberöd.
And we actually have a physical place. We actually started a hub, so we call it Smart Village Hub, or Smarta Bya Hub. So in collaboration with companies and different universities around Sweden, we have a physical place and how to test and do research of what's smart and sustainable. So for instance, how we can 3D print, for instance. In this case, we 3D print with clay, local sustainable material, and how we can use that for, let's say, a vase, or later on we can do research on how to build houses. So instead of concrete, we can use more sustainable and locally found materials. So we can print a house, for instance. We did hydroponic systems. So instead of traveling a vegetable a couple of 100 miles in a lorry or a boat, we can produce them locally. So this is 3D printed. You can download the stuff and 3D print it in our hub. So this means you can actually grow your vegetables and herbs and etc. at your classroom for your students, or in your garden or in-house. And inside the hub, we have a Fab Lab, fabrication laboratory. I know that I can almost guarantee that you have, in your countries, in your areas, have a Fab Lab around. We're over 2,000 Fab Labs globally. We actually have one here in Halmstad at the university, where I work, for instance, as well. But here in this picture, we are teaching the citizens' youth and new technology. So we're teaching them 3D printing, so they can be working with new technology and not be afraid of testing. And besides that, we have a 3D model of Veberöd. What's a 3D model of Veberöd? So, and how we use it. So we, together with these partners, in Lund, for instance, and region of Skåne, we did a 3D model through scanning and flying with drones. So think of it just like the hydroponic system. We did a 3D model. And we scanned the whole village with drone technology and trigonometry. And with that platform we created, we can use that as a digital platform for IoT, or reporting faults in the road, for instance. So we can actually report if it's a hole in the road, instead of writing an application and send it to the municipality. Because everyone can understand a 3D model, since they can interact with it, see it physically, not instead of just writing it on a paper. So this is our 3D model. We have 50,000 drone pictures from 30 meters height. So we're talking 5 square kilometer huge 3D model. Think of going through every picture, it's quite a lot. And with this, we can put in those IoT sensors I talked about earlier. So for instance, we have a gate at the kindergarten. So if the parent leaves that open, the staff can get a notification on their phone. Oh, the gate is open, go and close it. We can measure temperatures in the local water, what do you call it? Yeah, waters. We can measure health, traffic, as you mentioned earlier. And then we can put an AI over this. And this can create a heat map. A heat map where we can measure and find a correlation between those totally different types of data. And see, are you more happy, for instance, or healthier if you use more electricity, more water? And this is how we can visualize new city planning. So we can actually visualize new structures. And then we can use, through the communication platform, the citizens can actually vote what they want in their village. Because it's their village, not the municipality's village, because they don't live there. Yeah. And then we have a Fab city. So we're talking, if you can see the names there, we're talking Barcelona, Sao Paulo, Detroit, Mexico City. These are huge cities who make a commitment to make a local production with a global corporation. And now small village of Veberöd is a newest member.
Evidently, the rural areas hold great potential, and rural development can in reality be everything we want it to be. And what we really want to emphasize is that to treasure this potential, we shouldn't be transforming villages into cities in order to provide for its needs. Instead, we need to focus on creating stronger and better and smarter villages themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Linn and Team Malmgren. So many innovative ideas. I'm astonished, actually. And Mia, I don't think we have any questions. I think you filled us all with so many ideas. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Some goodies from Halland. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now we are going to see a film with Mr. Stefan Niedermoser, manager of Lag Radio 3, or Dry maybe, and he's the chair of Leader Forum Austria. Stefan will share the experience and example of startup village in Tyrol, Austria. So it's time for Stefan.
Dear European leader community, hello to Sweden. It's really a pity that Austria cannot take part in this big celebration, 30 years of leader. We would be really, really happy to be there. But last 2 weeks, Corona changed our life. Again, we are in a hard lockdown, and that is why we are not able to participate. But I send you best of greetings from Austria, and I'm very happy that I can show my presentation about the startup village via video. I will talk about the startup village Kitzbühel. It's in my region in the province of Tyrol in Austria. Kitzbühel is called the most legendary sports town in the Alps. But why is that? You may know Kitzbühel because of that. The world famous Hahnenkamm race, the biggest downhill race in the world, with 50,000 spectators waiting down to see the skiers, really is a fast downhill race from the Hahnenkamm. Kitzbühel has also the biggest tennis outdoor event of Austria. And for the bicycle riders, also the Austrian Bicycle Tour. Kitzbühel, the peak of the so-called Kitzbühler Horn, is always the top tour of the Austrian turn. And Kitzbühel is also home of the rich and famous. And that is why Netflix is producing a series. It will start in December, called Kids. We are not very happy about that, but we will see what this will bring. But back to the startup village. It's legendary in sports and in high society. I just told you. But what about business or even startups there? Just to give you a small numbers and facts of Kitzbühel. It's the capital of the district, and it's in the land of Tyrol. I already told you. Kitzbühel has 8,300 inhabitants, but 3,000 to 4,000 part-time and leisure residences plus. So there are living around 10 to 12,000 people in the weekends or on holidays, not during the week. There are nearly 900 self-employed persons. What's good? There are nearly 1,400 workplaces and 6,800 employees. And out of the 6,800 employees, there are 1,400 working in tourism regularly. Unfortunately, not now, because in lockdown, also this is closed. But you can see economically, Kitzbühel is quite good. But what about startups? So there are a lot of challenges we have to face. Because of the less space, because of the high mountains, attractive area. Kitzbühel is in between Salzburg, Innsbruck, and also Munich. They are all just 1.5 hours away. There is very high life quality, what means the price of land is really tremendous. It's horrible right now. You have to pay that much money just for grassland, and it's really hard to start business when there is no space or when the space is extremely expensive. That's tricky. The second challenge is, as I told you, Kitzbühel is famous for tourism. There is the same number of beds than inhabitants. But it's not really known for business industry and the startup community. So it's really hard to start a business when there is no proper environment. The third challenge we are facing is a lack of workers in many economic fields. And just to give you a number, in the area and also in Kitzbühel, there are twice as much open jobs than job seekers. So if you don't have a job, just come to us. There is a job for you. And probably the biggest challenge or the biggest problem, because there is no technical school or university within 1 hour driving, we are losing young people because they stay there. They do not move back to the countryside when they start to live in the bigger towns or at the place where the university is. So it's really hard when the young ones are leaving. But as you know, we are all working in leader. We have to face the challenges, but we have to start to act. So what have we done with our startup business, our startup village, Kitzbühel? First, we created an innovation hub, an innovation network. What means one person, full employed, is just responsible for this topic. And beside this, with the bigger companies, there are contracts that the innovation which is generated there comes to the hub and is spread also to smaller businesses. Second, of course, we have created co-working places and also co-workation places, what means to combine working and holiday. That's co-workation. Then in the school for the 14 to 18 years old, in the commercial school, we implemented an innovation lab. What means there are computers, there are 3D printers, there are some other technical equipment everybody can use. You can go there and you can use it, you can try it, and the teachers there will help you. Then once a year, there is this change maker program. Around 80 to 90 youngsters, what means between 16, 17 or 18 years, they are in this program. It's 1 week, and they are accompanied by mentors, by local mentors from local companies, and they just talk about what is a business idea, how can you develop, and it's a 1 week program, always in autumn. In the summer holidays, there is a program called Coding for Kids, what means programming, so working on the computer. There is also an annual design thinking process for trainees, and they start to create ideas for their company where they are working in the field of sustainability. This is also a very good success story because many new ideas came out of this design thinking process with these young persons. And last but not least, I told you Kitzbühel is also home of the rich and famous. And when there are rich and famous people, there is also a lot of money there. They want want to spend it in houses and so on, but they also want to spend it in businesses. And that is why there is a Business Angel Summit where startups can meet investors and can collect some money. So this is our whole toolbox for the startup village in Kitzbühel, which it's not only in Kitzbühel, also some surrounding municipalities take part, but mainly all the actions are in Kitzbühel to develop this our city of the district further in the field of economy and startup. Most of these services, or nearly all of them, are supported by LEADER or CLLD, what means money out of the development fund. And of course, we also are aware of Smart Village program and so on, but in Austria, Smart Village is under LEADER, what means there is no separate program, there is no separate money. So the Smart Village concept is executed via LEADER in the LEADER regions, nothing separately. Right now, we have one of the biggest projects. It's a pop-up startup center. Why pop-up? Because you see it there. These are 46 containers on a simple ground. Why containers? I told you before that land is that much expensive in Kitzbühel that we cannot afford to build a regular house on a regular grassland. Because no land is sold, and if it's sold, it's too expensive. That is why we have a contract with the municipality that we get this parking space and we can build there our pop-up startup center. And in this center, there will be place for 25 new startups, and there will also be some additional services from us, what means to have some fundings. There will be a local bank inside, and there will be some other mentors and startups who will help to develop your business. So this is our own startup center, what means our own. We created an association which is running this business center. I will be the chairman of this association, and we found an investor who gave us the money to invest the first part, what means the first 46 containers, and we will start with the containers at the 6th of December. So in 1 week, the first containers will come, and we open our center in March 2022. And there we hope that we really have a place for new businesses, and not too expensive place where you really can start your business. You have a good environment, you have additional services, and also the other services I told you before, the other annual actions are continuously running. And that is why we are trying to find a good solution that Kitzbühel and our area does not just depend on tourism, but there should be also some other important key facts regarding businesses and economical key facts. We want to help and support them with our projects. So thank you. I really hope to see you again, whether here in our area in Kitzbühel. You are welcome as whatever you want to come, as leader delegation, as a tourist, or simply as my guest or my friend. But you can also take some investors or some startup businesses with you. I hope I could show how we support them and why this is very important for us. So thank you, see you again, have a nice day in Sweden, and a nice back. I hope you will come back safely, and then if the pandemic is hopefully over somewhere, we will see us again. Thank you and goodbye.
What an inspiring story. And now it is time for our last Smart Village speaker. I would like to welcome. No? There you are. Please welcome to Mr. Peter Plant, Associate Professor at Aarhus University, but also an inhabitant of Torup village in Denmark. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, let's get down to the real stuff. I represent, because I'm the chairman of Torup, 356 people. And the whole municipality is about 30,000, so the mayor reminds me that I'm just representing a minority. But which minority, I remind him. I'm actually a professor, not so much in Aarhus anymore, but in Norway, talk about distance work. But I'm also the local action group chairman, and it covers 2 municipalities, 60,000 people. What I'd like to actually share with you is a few concrete examples of what we do. And we're smart in a different way, not as smart as you and Veberöd, but in a different way. So I'll talk a little about startups, but also how communities will actually, in our case, work with the idea of startups. Why don't we sing a song? What a wonderful world. Can we do that together, do you think? Yes. That's what I usually do with presentations, but also with my students. Every morning we sing a song. I know it's a strange thing, but it's very Danish to do that. So we'll do that. Together. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces, on people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well done. Yeah, my students love it. I thought you would. Let's get this on the map. Copenhagen, remotely down there in the corner, but more centrally placed, our little place in this municipality. Yes, the train runs. Yes, we have shared carpools and all kinds of stuff of that sort of thing. It looks like this. It's not pretty at all. There are no mountains. It's flat, it's windy, it's sandy. I know about this because I run a sheep farm. My sheep, have difficulties in actually staying on the ground because they blow away. But we're actually, in terms of the action group, we were quite conscious when we started this, and I formulated this with my group there. Oh, I don't know, about 8-9 years ago when we started this local action group at that point. And we were quite conscious that we were trying to align our strategic goals with the goals of the EU at that time. You remember these 2030 goals? The intelligent, sustainable, and inclusive approach to growth. And we said, we don't want more, but we want better. So we're actually working with the idea of sustainability. That was interesting in those days, because we were saying, I think in 19 or 20 different places in our strategy that we would like to work with sustainability in terms of these different goals. And it was quite controversial. It was something which was seen as way out and a bit, far-fetched. It's interesting to see that now even the ministry, which is supporting us, has actually caught up with this. So now our projects have to be green and sustainable. We thought about that in those days. I just wanted to point to one little thing down here, which I thought might be of interest. You see this lovely woman with the child down there? That's one of the local action group projects. It's the local village doctor. Decentralization of the system of, doctors in our country has been centralized for a long time. And we hate that, which we have now support for. It took her about 2 months to get 1,600 clients. This is in a village of 356 people. So you see people actually voting with their feet. They don't want centralization. They want their personalized service, the local village doctor. She has about 6 kids herself, so she's actually doing well. Just to show you what it looks like, it's difficult to actually lose your way because there are 2 roads, one in and one out, that's it. We have a railway station, we have a couple of schools, about 300 kids altogether, a local school, but also what's called a continuation school. That's sort of a residential high school. So 300 kids go to school in a village of 356, so we do import them, and the train service helps us there. We have a co-op, very nice old-fashioned co-op, with food stuff for our animals, but also church, assembly hall, restaurant, bakery, second-hand bookstores, open university, music hall, music festival, documentary films, climbing wall, farming, farmers market, local council. 356 people. We're busy. One thing which I thought might be of interest here is, let's see what we get here. That we actually also, we've taken some of the power back. We don't want developers to come and develop our village. We do it ourselves. So we created a local fund to buy land and sell it off again, which actually also creates income, which we distribute in the local community. So we actually create our own funding. Oh, this is difficult. Yes, it is difficult, but it's also interesting and challenging. So we bought this farm, and I was actually also a self-appointed leader of the rest of the land. There were 50 hectares, and we were buying 10 of them. What about the other 40 hectares? So I got the local farmers together and said, I want you to share these 40 hectares. How are we going to do this? And I have absolutely no authority in this. But just taking, that forward step and actually leading people into the process and saying, I'd like us to decide together on this. And they were not very happy in the beginning, but they ended up being very happy with the outcome. We've actually formed a local fund, and I'm saying this in some detail because it might be of interest also to others. How can we take power back locally? And one mechanism is, of course, to put, if you like, some kind of emphasis into steering the money matters, which we've done here. So in our case, it's a legal entity. It takes about 40,000 euros to create what's called the ground capital. We did that locally within 5 weeks. Then the bank was happy because here's a responsible group of people. So we've actually bought the whole place from the start with bank loans. And we've also taken an active part in the local planning. We didn't leave the local planning to the municipality. We made the plan. In my case, I formed a group of 5 people. I said, 5 people, 5 meetings. You've got 3 months to do this. This is the grid. This is the way you do a local plan. Could you please do that? Come back in 5 months. We delivered that to the municipality. They said, hooray, thank you, you've done the work for us. 90% of what we did there in that particular one was our input. So you can see we're taking the power back to the local people. We, the people. That's what we're actually doing here. So, but we're also creating a room for business spaces, 2 companies so far in that particular area. But we're also building on a lot of experience. A so-called eco-village has been in our village for about 30 years, and lots of good energy stems from there. And they build funny houses, and some of them are terrible, and some of them are good. it's wonderful. Most of these homes are built by people themselves, and some were experts and some were definitely non-experts. Local democracy is very important. I'm not going to go into that, but I'm actually the chairman of the local council, and everyone is a member. That's it. Child, old, young, we're all members. So you don't have to go into some kind of association. We do things together. We upcycle old buildings, and this is, I think, perhaps of interest to you as well. We've actually gone to some lengths to upcycle old buildings. This is the old railway building. The train runs, but railway buildings, nah, the train company doesn't really take an interest in that. So this is what it looked like, and he said he had cleared up already. It was all ready for us to move into. Very nice. We turned that into a local, if you like, place for startups. And right now, on the basis of private funds and crowdfunding and local action group and so on, and a lot of voluntary work, we have in this particular building, and this is just one example, 200 square meters, that's what it is. We have the book town. We sell secondhand books and create money for cultural events. We have a co-working space, 2 international companies, one American in eco-certification, and the other one is Norwegian in automation of automation of storage. We have a farmer's market every second week, local food on the basis of food mileage. We have a common garden, we have alternative transport, a recycling repair cafe, and an add-on to this, which I haven't mentioned here, people now making local cider. All this taking place here in this wonderful little building, which is a historical building from 1916, and which was falling to pieces. And we've restored the whole thing. This is an interesting thing. I think in a lot of your cases, you will also find old buildings, old farm buildings, old buildings which are left. And it takes some imagination and a lot of energy and some local action group funding to actually turn this into a hub of activity, and in our case also to facilitate startups. Lovely people. This is this guy over here. He's the cider guy, the local guy, a young family that moved into our village about 8 months ago. But we're quite used to this kind of thing, and I think you can recognize this, the crowdfunding, the idea that you form things, you actually establish things yourselves. So these are pictures from the local kindergarten, which we've built ourselves, the local school, which we've made ourselves, and so on. We don't really rely on the municipality or others to actually come along and do it for us. And dressing up for the occasion is also quite interesting. I must admit, this is what we do at our markets. We have thematic markets, farmers markets, and as you can see, this one over here was on flour. There was one here on vegetables. We dress up for the occasion, and people remember afterwards, this was one of these silly markets, people dressed up like a carrot. By the way, it's my lovely wife. That's it. Thank you very much.
What interesting work you have been doing, Peter. Oh, wait. I have a present for you.
Ooh.
And a particular thank you for the singing. I loved it.
I love that as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Mörk choklad.
Yeah.